spiritual level, I want to fight these people as hard as I can. You know, they say if a tree fell in the forest, but nobody was there to hear it fall, did it make a sound? And so many times I see stuff a year out, 2 years out, 10 years out, because I'm going off globalist white papers and documents most of the time, so it's not hard. It makes me sound really smart. But a lot of times something right up in my face, like a pit bull biting me, I just don't see. It's you ever been looking for your wallet? It's right there on your sink. Or you ever been looking for your hat? It's on your head. That's happened, I think, to all of us. Ever been looking for your sunglasses and they're hanging on your neck? 2 weeks ago, Paul Watson called me. And Paul's busy, I'm busy. We probably only talk every couple of weeks. We talk on air a couple times a week, but off air maybe every 2 weeks. And they said, Alex, have you seen this in the Wall Street Journal? And he said, it's the plan to take over the internet. It says they're going to use us as the test case. And I did an article on it. You didn't cover it. Do you think that's a big deal? And I just said, yeah, that's got to be fake news. I mean, that is just that they'd admit it all and said we're going to make all this money. And we met with the tech heads and we're going to ban everybody off the web but about 100 companies. And they had headlines that were derivatives of it saying, watch out, Alex. YouTube's coming to ban you in the next 2 weeks. We kind of showed that article, and I'm just like, and then CNN on Friday says, Alex Jones is bullying children, and we're lobbying YouTube to shut him down and ban him from the platform. I mean, if you know law, corporate law, criminal law, state law, that's so criminal and also so uncivil. So it's criminal and it violates civil issues. It's open and shut. They don't care how big a lawsuits they lose. I mean, these are open and shut lawsuits now because they admit it all. We have the undercover video of them from YouTube, which is Google, and the New York Times, Project Veritas, and now they're saying it. They're trying to shut down a competing news organization, and then they're misrepresenting what we say. So the reason this is the top story out of all the big news we've got is it is the top story. Drudge, Friday, Saturday, and this morning removed it. That's a long time, 2 days the top of Drudge, had us top of Drudge. Google YouTube's war on Alex Jones. But listen, it's bigger than that. And Drudge obviously knows that. It's a war on you. And Drudge linked to our analysis of it and the 2 banned videos. And guess what? No one said they were crisis actors. No one said there wasn't a shooting. The videos they banned were students we had on and local newscasts saying the sheriff's department stood down. There were 10 cars lined up for close to 10 minutes doing nothing. And the shooter supposedly was there while gunshots are going off. He didn't have a gun. And there were men in military fatigues running around in the school while the police sat outside. We have 5 students now on record. That video was just 3 of them. Now, I'm not even saying there were 2 shooters. It's on local TV. And it's in other interviews. And then we interview students, and they're like, yeah, if everybody said there was other shooters and he didn't have the gun while the guns are going off. I don't have any enjoyment off of the record traffic to Infowars.com. 7 million plus as of last night. I haven't seen the new report today. People watching 2 videos we posted on our own servers of banned videos that CNN requested Google subdivision YouTube ban. Because, hey, this is great for InfoWars. This is great for Alex Jones. It's great for our bottom line. We've seen, compared to this time last year, record revenue coming in. And we're radically expanding in the face of people like Brian Stelter that openly lobbied yesterday and today on 2 different shows for us to be shut down publicly. We're going to play those clips. Because that's short term. When they set the precedent to shut us down, this is the internet shutdown. And how do I know that? The CEO of News Corp, second largest media organization in the world after Disney. Disney's trying to buy it right now. The incoming CEO that's replaced Rupert Murdoch, 2 weeks ago said, we're going to censor everybody, liberal, conservative, doesn't matter, and we're going to start with InfoWars, claiming it's bullying in the next month. You can go to the article, Infowars.com, News Corp CEO admits he wants internet censored so News Corp can make more money. Then you click on the Wall Street Journal article itself, and it says Infowars is an example. And you can also pull up the articles that are derivatives of it that say, hold on to your tinfoil hat, YouTube's coming for Alex Jones. So they use us specifically by name. In the article, how YouTube drives people to the internet's darkest corners. Okay, let's stop there. And they define you as garbage, as a virus, as a pollution. Brian Stelter does that in a moment. He's compared us to all those things. This week, it's pollution, but we've been called viruses and garbage. The Nazis called Jews garbage, viruses, and rats. So if he just adds rats on there, he'll have his Nazi palette of verbal lies down correctly. And it's good. He's all, George Soros lackey, so he's works for a Nazi collaborator, at least in spirit. And these aren't words. This is the truth versus what they are. Known quantities from WikiLeaks. Everything's rigged, fake town halls, fake debates, fake questions, fake polls, fake. They are the bona fide fake. But they're not just that. In the Soviet Union, the government would go out and censor media. In America, see, being in the middle of this, I'm learning how it all works, which is fascinating for all of us to understand. Project Veritas has released 2 videos where you've got Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Twitter and Facebook on one, YouTube on another. Executives with the New York Times, senior people, heads of operations for their internet outreach, saying, our main job is shutting down Alex Jones, and we watch him for Google. We're in a partnership. We've got other groups that advise us, Snopes, George Soros. And this is all in video. There's hours of the footage, Project Veritas. And they said, our main job shut down Alex Jones. They go, well, like what else? Well, if you like American flags or you say you like veterans, you're banned too. I mean, you don't know you're banned, but we don't let anybody see what you've done, and you feel all alone. And it really depresses them, and they all start laughing. I mean, we played these clips many times. Then they have congressional hearings. You saw at lunch, InfoWars was #1 with fake news that a Muslim ran people over in New York. And, of course, this is the day it happened 3 months ago, and you're like, but he did do that day. And Congressman quickly goes, no Muslim attack. They go, you're right, sir, no Muslim attacked. We banned him. We banned the #1 article by Paul Watson. And imagine how it is for me. No Muslim attacked. He's like Allah Akbar running people over. Yeah, if you want to see it, there it is, video. Dim lawmaker demands Twitter censor InfoWars. So I'm giving you the backstory here. So Paul Watson calls me 2 weeks ago and he goes, why don't you cover in my article? You normally do. It's pretty big. This is going to be the attack, Alex. They say, they admit it's about money. They're going to shut us down and then everybody else because they believe that if they think we're unpopular with some by getting rid of us, others will accept it. Then the precedent set. I go, Paul, I don't need a authoritarian history lesson, my friend. Yes, I understand what they're doing. They've been demonizing us for years, so the public will accept our banning. And when they came out and said, CNN is actively trying to ban InfoWars off YouTube and other platforms, and then said a bunch of lies we didn't say, not in quotes, not video. You know how journalistically fraudulent that is? To say, Jones says no one died in Florida. Jones says all of this. Jones says that they're all crisis actors. We said none of it. And then to not even show a clip or a quote. And then to brag, they're in our account looking at our videos. And talking about our account and our revenue and everything. Imagine if it was like, I'm in CNN's YouTube account. I'm trying to ban it right now. I know everything about it. And we know all about how much money Mr. Jones makes, by the way. Because, we're InfoWars. We're just allowed to, be in your corporate agreements. Because, we're God. Dude. Just like the NSA spying on you or the big telecoms. And they just do it. And it isn't about me. What has me upset about this, because again, short term, this just makes us even, it's like the amount of traffic is incredible. It's the precedent The precedent for this is incredible. This is their admission of taking over. And they've got all these paid YouTube people, liberal and conservative, that are allowed to be promoted because they go after free speech, they agree with the bans of others, and then they bitch and complain when they themselves get banned. It's like guys, you know, at IBM I knew that trained their end-to-end replacements. There were people below them going, you know, in a year they'll fire you next. They're like, I don't care. They're going to keep me on. And then those guys were crying a year later when they got fired. Replaced by Indians paid 20% of what they were paid. And it's that same thing where, and I see all these YouTube channels and stuff with the same talking points, the same script. I know what they're going to say next because it's a script. We've gotten copies of the scripts. We've covered it. And so they have these scripts. So CNN and the New York Times, the Washington Post, they are all on video saying they police InfoWars. And that they believe if they can shut InfoWars down, they can shut everybody down. So this is, we've had lots of testing and lots of shadow banning and lots of cutting conservatives back and lots of blocking and lots of this and that. Now the full assault. And boy, since Friday, thousands of emails have come in. Everybody's calling me, other media going, it's true, they're blocking our channel and banning us. Big talk show host. Everybody else is hearing, yeah, my videos are all being taken down. Because it's on, folks. It's on. This is the new offensive. This is the new attack. It's here on the internet, and how they're going to set the precedent is, just like the Wall Street Journal said, our CEO met with the CEO of YouTube, and they're going to call everything bullying now. So you can have 4 kids out of 3,000 be the spokespersons of anti-gun parents. They can be in the drama club. They can be all those things. We're not saying they're fake. We're saying they're actors. They admit they are. BuzzFeed admits it. They're putting out talking points. They can be the only ones you hear from. They can get up at town halls and say, Dana Loesch, you're a murderer. And the crowd starts chanting, burn her, like some ancestral memory of burning witches or something, like a hot woman, it scares them, a hot, smart woman, they want to murder her immediately. So they're chanting, murder a woman. Boy, Me Too. God almighty, where's your Me Too movement? If that was happening, if they were pushing anti-God, anti-family, if CNN and MSNBC was criticizing the State of the Union because the president talked about family and churches, if that was happening, would you do something? Well, the answer is you have done something. You've been awake. You overpowered the corporate fake stream media. We elected Trump. He's done a great job as much as he can as a real lion against these hyenas and wolves and against these jackals, getting much of what he said he would do done. And they're mad because power is being returned to Washington and to the states from these global combines. And a lot of people are asking, what do we do about the admitted massive censorship of conservatives and libertarians and Christians and veterans groups and nationalist groups that is just incrementally intensifying, and now it's hitting a boiling point like the frog in the boiling pot? You realize it's not work. You realize it's the animating contest of liberty that Jefferson talked about. You call local talk radio, you call C-SPAN, you call Congress, you go to public events, you go out and demonstrate, even if it's you by yourself. You climb up that billboard that says kill members of the NRA, that's calling for criminal action in Florida and the murder of innocent people as a citizen's arrest, and you spray paint on that, whatever you think's best. I'm not saying do that, but I am saying they're not taking it down. What are we going to do when they're calling for murder and violence and the police are bought and paid for in many areas and won't do anything? What are we going to do? We'll be talking in the next few days about what we do. But first, we have to raise the alarm that this is even happening. So if you just joined us, you can pull up the Wall Street Journal articles. We've already shown them on air. Already mentioned it last segment. They came out 2 weeks ago and said, we've got a plan to shut down the free internet. We're going to call everything hate speech or bullying or Russian, and we're going to start banning InfoWars on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter in the next month. And then once we have the public accepting that, the precedent will be set. We're going to have about 100 providers online, and that'll be it. No more websites will be accessible on any major platform. Now, they then said we'll go after all the servers and everybody else. So that then got picked up by everybody else, and they said, look out, Alex Jones, YouTube's going to shut you down. That was the next day. So it's here. How do they do it? Well, they don't just say we're banning free speech. They go, Alex Jones bullied children and said there was no shooting in Florida. and that they're all crisis actors. No, I said they're scripted. They're having scripted town halls. They only have 4 people out of 3,000 students who are saying known, exact, scripted gun control lines from the Brady Center, from the Violence Policy Center, from the Bloomberg Group, which the kids call themselves activists for. But they don't, when they start banning us on YouTube, as YouTube's announcing, they don't show a clip of us. They don't. Again, that's not journalistic to say I said something and then not show a clip. That is so fraudulent. That's the telltale sign. And they just move forward. So it's here. This is their big assault. And what's the key? For the 2018 midterm elections, they are going to have election fraud, the likes of which, dirty tricks, the likes of which you've never seen. You are going to see the globalists in their full attempt to keep control of the U.S. because they're using that to control the world. Now, I've got all these clips I want to go to here, and then I'm going to go through the big news. We told you there was a sheriff stand down the day after because we saw a bunch of videos on local news that never made it nationally, and we saw a bunch of videos that local news shot, and reporters got mad that it got cut from the nightly news, so they put them out on their Twitter accounts. Or we saw videos shot from iPhones or droids over people's shoulders. There's a bunch of them. You saw them here. Those are the videos that got banned of people reporting multiple shooters, about 10 cop cars pulled up, nobody got out until the shooting was over. There was Army soldiers inside. Well, all these days later, I hear about Army soldiers and the cops standing down. I said, I don't know if this is true, but these are pretty well-spoken students. White girls, Hispanic girls, young black men, all very well-spoken, better spoken than I am in many cases. And then we talked to other witnesses. They go, yeah, that's what we saw too. And I'm like, wow, I know real school shootings happen. This is crazy. We know they lied about babies in incubators getting their brains bashed out to get us in the Gulf War in 1992. That's all admitted. So, when CNN does fake Scud attacks in Atlanta, saying they're in Saudi Arabia, and then now it's all come out. First 1 deputy, now 4 more, now 10 deputies standing down for at least 7, 8, 9 minutes, just like Jaylen Martin and other students. And what did Snopes say? They said Jaylen Martin was fake. He was an actor. George Soros, Snopes manages stuff for Google, decides what's real and isn't, funded by George Soros, and they said Jaylen wasn't real. He was an actor. So they're shutting our YouTube accounts down, saying we said that there's nothing happened. And they say our witnesses are fake when they're real. And we have their student ID and they had to back off. So see, everything they do, they accuse us of. But what Jaylen Martin said the day after was that it must have been 10, we called them police vehicles. They were sheriff's vehicles, Broward County, pull up, and none of them went in. Why were they being ordered to stand down? They're trained to go in. The school resource officer who'd been in that 34 years, ran the drills, it's in the news, for a school shooting, stood down. Stood down. We said that on the day after it happened, and I said, is it a stand down? That's what students say. And it's memorialized by a bunch of so-called newspapers and Media Matters, saying Alex Jones says the sheriff and the FBI stood down. They got 30-something warnings. They did stand down. They were ordered to. And now the state admits he was on psychotropic drugs under state control. That was released last week. Got almost no media attention. That indeed it was the mass murderer pills. The little colloquial term I have. So let's go out to break with Glenn Beck, acting like he's being thoughtful. Oh, I don't know, Alex Jones, something be done by this pollution, Stelter. And he's like, I don't know, yeah. Well, Facebook and Twitter, they just make it worse. Oh, yeah, it's terrible. See, he was told 2 years ago internet censorship was coming. And he decided to join with them. He thinks he'll be left as the conservative voice in the new fake synthetic political landscape. We're going to go to break, come back with it. He thinks he's going to be the person that's left. And I said that 2 years ago because he pretty much admitted it. Can you imagine? He keeps waiting because we got Trump in. We still have somewhat of a free speech. His audience, he's been dumped by half the radio stations he's on. I mean, he's barely got his contract at News Corp, but he's got a cult of followers that are brainwashed that still buy, gold at 2 times the price it is and all the rest of it. And he's back to CNN where he came from, where he was trained, where he was deployed. And the reason I know is I was approached by the very same networks a year before Beck came on the scene before 9/11, and they said, we got book deals, we got movie deals. We want you to be the new Rush Limbaugh. You are going to be it. We are ready to hire you. And I didn't take the $3 million a year, and this guy did. Let me read you this Ted Nugent quote here yesterday. He said, the orgy of lies must be counterpunched nonstop. Ted Nugent. And then he sent me a bunch of links to the BuzzFeed saying they're student actors who are anti-gun and are great activists who are going to fight the Second Amendment. And that was the day after the shooting, and that's where we all got it from, and it's all admitted. And then if you talk about it, they say you're bullying children and say nobody got shot. I mean, just think of how they're using children as a fraud. But here's the point I want to make for the last segment, and it's this. YouTube admits they're in consultation about my private YouTube accounts with billions of views to ban us permanently from YouTube for bullying students and saying no shooting took place, or that they're all crisis actors who weren't actually there, brought in. Not that they're actors in drama or anti-gun, that's admitted. And they've banned those videos. Here's the bottom line. YouTube has banned videos. That's the videos they banned, showing student eyewitnesses on local news, but then other students we interviewed saying that the police stood down and they witnessed their cars for up to 10 minutes, a bunch of cars line up and wait while the shooting was happening, and that they were with Nicholas Cruz while the shooting was ongoing and he didn't have a gun. And then they cover that by saying it was videos about the students being actors and no shooting happening. Go to the article, watch these InfoWars videos. Were banned by YouTube. And, you know, it's crazy. As of yesterday, I haven't looked at the reports yet, 7 million plus views on the two videos on our own servers. And the bill I got told about last night was $3,400, and we got pretty cheap bandwidth. I mean, it shows if I put a video platform up, it's going to be very successful, and I guess we have to do it. But Google, Facebook, and Twitter, they get telecom level, basically free bandwidth. YouTube pulls Alex Jones video saying student anti-gun activists were actors. Notice the spin. No, we didn't say they were crisis actors. We didn't say. And I know I keep making this point, but it shows the fraud. They won't show you what we said, though, see, because you'd see it and go, that's totally reasonable. Hey, look, they're in the acting class. Hey, BuzzFeed says they're anti-gunners and are in the acting class and the journalism class, and one of them's mom's works at CNN. They're calling Dana Loesch a murderer. You know, they're adults, they're seniors. We can speak out about what they're saying. Looks like they're scripted. They don't show you that. Jones bullied children and said nobody died. That's what they do. That's defrauding their viewers. And then to see all these other YouTubers who want to be in favor with YouTube go along with the hoax and read and try to grovel to the system, and then to have Anderson Cooper of the CIA come out and have all the rest of them, and then Brian Stelter, and then Dan Rather weighed in, and Glenn Beck, and then they had Hogg on saying, I forgive the conspiracy theorists. You know, they've given me great traffic and, you know, blah, blah, blah. They say I'm an actor, nobody died, but, you know, it's all, Again, they forgive us for things we didn't even do. Aren't they sweet? That's very studied levels of fraud, by the way. What CNN and stuff are involved in is next level, where they know you're lying. They're lying. What they do is they construct different whole pieces of like a fake universe to then connect all of it in together. So then once they've got that whole artificial construct, then they think you might buy into it. But it's a little telltale sign when they say, Tom Brokaw goes, Alex Jones is an unalloyed racist. That means complete racist. I had to look up unalloyed either. I'm a pretty good wordsmith, but unalloyed I didn't know. It means complete, total, absolute, committed. No clip, no video, no nothing. That's just, you know, him saying it. So we're going to go to these clips now. It's just, remember, we said there was a stand down by the sheriff's department. Well, we didn't say that, actually. The media memorialized, though, that we first said witnesses said that, and now it's confirmed. We said he was probably under state control and on psychotropics. That was confirmed a week and a half later. That's all now in the news. We said that these kids are in acting school and are in the drama club and are anti-gunners. And the media now says, oh, they're wonderful activists and they're actors. In the Comedy Central show where they attacked us but never showed clips of us, the Kepler guy did the same deal. He'd play clips of the kids admitting they're actors, but then go, Jones is insane saying they're actors. I'm like, they're not even that good a propagandist. So that's why I'm saying this is the #1 story, because it is. They've announced the internet attack. They're coming after it. Drudge was warned by a Supreme Court justice 2 years ago, and out of all the conservative media, all of it, no one came to my defense but Matt Drudge. But that's why he's #1. Matt Drudge linked to the original videos that had nothing to do with what they said. It was eyewitnesses to multiple shooters and the sheriff's stand down. And these are students saying this, just like students said we were handed out questions at the CNN deal. And it turns out that's true. Of course, it's in the WikiLeaks they do that. They're the kings of fake. It doesn't mean the shooting's fake. Again, they conflate that. And I know you know that. But that's how the fraud works for these people. And then they think off that. I got calls again from Northeast Texas family going, it's in the paper, you bullied kids, but what happened? It didn't say how. I'm like, yeah, isn't it funny they didn't have a quote or anything? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's the same script. CNN means CIA, Foundation, leftist angles. I mean, literally, they admit that. They put out the script, everybody else. That's the thing, too. I looked at hundreds of articles. It was all the exact same cutout article. It was all the same words, the same angle. But it got worse today. It became other videos taken down a week ago of somebody else who we don't even know what they said because they took it down, now saying I said that, see? And it all just merges, kind of like they said in the Nunes memo, had all these documents, but in the Democrat memo, it just is all this speculation that, well, maybe the Russians gave Trump secret documents. So they go, probably Roger Stone. Now today, that was yesterday, now the new Schiff memo, Democrat memo is Roger Stone got Russian documents. There's the Washington Post said maybe, and then it becomes that, you see. So they're coming for you, folks. All right, I've spent 45 minutes and haven't gotten to this, or 40 minutes. Let's go ahead and go to Glenn Beck. Washed up, half his audience, Democrat operative, Judas Goat. He goes and falls on his sword on mainstream media. That's what he does. He goes and falls on his sword. He gets pushed by Twitter, Facebook, everybody force-fed. Lavish with corporate sponsorship. He goes on, falls on his sword, says conservatism is a fraud, is what he does. And then he misrepresents what I said about 9/11, about everything. Because I said there was a stand down, Saudi Arabia, all that's come out in the 28 pages. But he misrepresents that, and then he misrepresents the rest. Here it is.
We're frequently accused of spreading conspiracy theories about Obama and about liberals, which is why I want to know what you make of the conspiracy theories this week, these attacks against the students in Florida. Why do people embrace this kind of conspiracy theory thinking?
Okay, so let's talk about conspiracy theories, because again, this is a left and right kind of thing.
Look at the condescension.
If you remember, Scripps Howard did a Scripps Howard did a poll in 2006, and they asked the question, how likely is it that people in the federal government either assisted in the 9/11 attacks or took no action because they wanted war in the Middle East? 22% said very likely. 22% of Democrats said very likely. 28% said somewhat likely. So that's more than half of Democrats thought that Bush was involved in the 9/11 conspiracy. So conspiracy, and by the way, the person who was behind that conspiracy is the same guy behind a lot of these conspiracies, Alex Jones.
All right, let's stop there. I'm going to come back with and then they agree that I need to be shut down. So they don't play what I actually said. They don't show what I actually did. They just tell you, and then they agree I need to be taken down. There have been shootings where clearly people do it by themselves. There's also shootings where I can play you CNN clips where, well, more cops got shot. They need to do more to stop police violence. That's why they're getting killed. You know, they deserve it. And when Congressman Scalise got shot, Wolf Blitzer had a guest on going, well, the guy was a hero that did it. You know, he wasn't a bad guy. And Blitzer's like, okay, I agree, yeah. So these people are out of control. And the day after the event, the day of the event, we start seeing local stations and Texas stations that were there to cover Major League Baseball interviewing students going, there's multiple shooters and Cruz was with me, he wasn't shooting. And then I get a guest on, they say it, and he knows other people we get in contact with say it. Imagine being Glenn Beck or somebody or CNN or anybody, because a lot of these were over TV camera shoulders, people shooting on iPhones. The students were all saying this. Imagine then you don't cover it because you don't want to be called a conspiracy theorist. That just means going and talking to the locals and seeing what really happened instead of whatever the national news in D.C. or New York or L.A. says. And that's what's crazy. But see, they can't say, oh, Jones is bad. He interviewed students that said there were multiple shooters and showed local newscasts saying the same thing, and that the sheriff stood down. No, 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 no. You can't go up against that. So you go, Alex Jones is to be banned on YouTube and Google. Thank God. Washington Times said, thank God. Glenn Beck says, thank God. News Corps says, thank God. CNN's out. I got 4 or 5 clips where Stelter's pushing people. Don't you want to shut this down? Don't you need to do something about it? I just played one. And then they can't actually say, we need to shut it down. They played local newscasts saying multiple shooters, and the police stood down. And they're also saying CNN had fake town halls. That's confirmed. Where they're trained actors who are real students, but are actors are saying, you're a murderer to Dana Loesch. And the crowd goes, burn her, of handpicked people. They're saying, kill the NRA, burn people, murder them, shoot them. They're murderers. And then all we're doing is going, gee, they all admit they're in an ad thing and they're all in PR and they admit that in BuzzFeed. And it's like, shut up. You said that no one died. See, it's like I say, you know, I want to live like Venezuela. Shut up. You're a Nazi. You want to live under Hitler. I'm like, no, I said I want to live under communism. So see, that they always play these games. And only because we're not paying attention do they keep having success. But they're starting to lose, so they're panicking, which is a great opportunity to show how ridiculous they are. But let me get these clips. Then we got Roger Stone coming on. He's got so much to break down. We've also got Doug Hagman. It's just so they can cover it all themselves. I'll host a little bit, but I'm going to let them take over or I'll run over them. I'm too wound up to have anybody host with me. So since they were coming on as guests, I'll just let them host. They already host the show sometimes anyways. And I got to talk to some lawyers. I got a little meeting with lawyers at like 6:30 tonight. Yeah, I'm not a litigious person, but we got to open and shut cases, and it's one of our only avenues left just to show what frauds they are, because we got them good, man. They are just turned loose by their corporate owners right now because they know they're losing control. They're doing anything they can. So what do they do when they got students saying the police stood down, which is now confirmed? They wanted to cover that up. No wonder they banned not just my video, but thousands of others that's now coming out that showed locals saying what happened. Because it wasn't 1 deputy, it wasn't 4, it wasn't 5, it wasn't 10, it was just a stand down. A stand down. And men running around in camo shooting guns while the police stand down. There's dozens of students saying, oh, there was guys running around in camo. Hell, did Islamicists attack? We now know the sheriff is an Islamicist. In fact, I forgot to give you that video, guys. It's right here, Daria. If you'll run in here. I've got it right here. I forgot to send this to you. The sheriff speaks full Arabic, says he's an Islamicist, whole 9 yards. This is unbelievable. Here it is. Come in here and get this for me. Broward County Sheriff. See, I'm starting to figure out this may have been like Vegas. Here you go. And then national security covers it up because they don't want to start a civil war. But whatever. You got a bunch of men reportedly running around in camo. Some witnesses say big beards shooting everybody. And I'm not even saying that. The students are saying it. And then the students said the police stood down, and which is confirmed. But, you know, oh, don't bully the students. But, oh, CNN says these other students that said it was scripted are liars, and the students we have aren't real, even though they are real. They're bullying the truth. They're bullying America. CNN goes to old ladies' houses and says you're Russian agents when they've been Republican volunteers for 40 years. So let's finish up with Glenn Beck saying Alex Jones made up the 9/11 conspiracy theory. Now, our own military, 28 pages, has all come out. Criminal elements of our government allied with Islam, like Brennan and others. But can they misrepresent what I said? And then he gets in to this, but they never say what I said, notice, because I didn't say what they said. The students said it, and all I did was show you what they said, because they don't like us here, because they want to have the only voice. Here it is.
Conspiracy. So conspiracy, and by the way, the person who was behind that conspiracy is the same guy behind a lot of these conspiracies, Alex Jones. Politico described that as something at the time. They said, well, that's just things that people are saying because they don't like the other guy. That's the problem. We're willing to accept things.
No, over 1 million Iraqis died in the first phase over lies about babies having their brains bashed out in incubators. And you hear about the sinking of the Maine, our own battleship being blown up, and blah, blah, blah. I love America, but criminal elements do this stuff. It's taught in textbooks, Beck. But when you can't debate our ideas, You just misrepresent them with a straw man and then call for us to be banned. Here, let's continue.
Accept things about the other guy because we don't like him.
Well,
and
as bad as the line was after 9/11, what's worse now are the social networks.
Oh, wait, pause.
They spread the
What's worse is the social networks. The people can talk. What's worse now is the internet. Look, Stelter's actually, and by the way, I've got like 4 or 5 clips of him saying this. Get rid of it. Shut them. It just, the social networks, there aren't the people. They're not watching me. I'm a big manly guy. Make them watch me, Glenn. Continue.
These crazy theories to millions of people. What should the technology companies do?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm so thoughtful. Let me think.
Facebook and Twitter have...
Everything Beck does is famously scripted, by the way. And then I have the same program 10 minutes before where he says the same thing to David Hogg, who I can't talk about or it's bullying, even though he admits he's an activist and is a young man. They say, what should we do? They bullied you, my little cupcake. Here, continue.
Have added to this problem a great deal. I think if you look at where the average Democrat was and the average Republican, if you look at the charts, it's pretty much like this until 2006, the first year of Facebook, and we started moving apart, and we are now.
Yeah, now that people have free speech, libertarianism, Americanism is winning, and we're back, baby. Your whole Carol Quigley globalist thing of having the left and right be the same and controlling it's over. And there's no putting the genie back, and your whole audience hates Stelter, and they hate Beck, and they hate you. They hate you. I want to get to this clip of Hogg thanking us while the very group he's on with CNN is lobbying to have us kicked off YouTube and has already banned us on 3 channels doing live streams. Another strike, we're off YouTube. And then the lawsuits are just, it's like, which I don't even want to have to go through. But, and oh, by the way, I'm going to privately sue Stelter, and I'm going to sue all of them. I swear to God. When they do this, I have them all. I have them lobbying. I have them lying. I have them filing the fake complaints. Total racketeering to ban my speech when I have a bigger show than they do. I mean, I should go to jail if I'm trying to kick them off the air, too. I mean, these people are sick freaks, man. Anyways, so there you go. Just, you've been warned, buddy. All of you have. I think Hogg's got some really good advisors telling him he doesn't want me taking off here. Little Hoggy, he figured it out. He got some smart people behind him. He's like, son, you want to stay out of the way of this. But he didn't get to. Anyways, continuing here. I've not done new specials in a week, even though I'm selling out of the fluoride-free colloidal silver fortified and iodine fortified toothpaste. I haven't come out with new sales. I've been so busy, and even though it's about to sell out, even though Icarin, the kidney and liver cleanse is amazing, bodies, the ultimate turmeric formula. I mean, just look into it. We have the strongest out there. It's unbelievable. At a very low price. It's all 50% off, and it's all about to sell out. Because I've got hundreds of other items we sell. I just haven't come up with new specials. And so those are the specials that are about to end. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. So everybody can see I've been a little busy right now launching the satellite uplinks, and all the TV and radio affiliates are just pouring in. They've got David Hogg, who if you even just say his name, you're banned off YouTube because he's a young child, a young baby. No, he's a survivor of the shooting attack, who is admittedly an actor, but not acting as a crisis actor in a fake shooting. He's got talking points, just like the fake CNN halls. And if you say that, well, you've got to be banned. And Stelter's the same thing he says 3 times with Dan Rather and with Glenn Beck and now with Hogg. Don't Google, YouTube, Twitter got to do something about your harassment. They don't show the harassment. They just say it's fake that you're an actor. No, he's an admitted actor. But just because you're an actor doesn't mean there wasn't a school shooting. So they play these semantical games preying on their audience who they have total psychopathic disdain for, Stelter and people. I mean, it's like Gruber admitting, thank God you're so dumb. All of them just praying you're not conscious, praying you're not paying attention. So here's that clip.
Has locked the shaitan.
No, that's the sheriff at his prayer meetings. I want to play the clip of... not Hogg defending the officer who did not enter the shooting scene. Who wants to go down the barrel of an AR-15? No, not that. See, just whatever they want. No one's even defending that. But just he's defending him. No, it's the clip. David Hogg, thanks, conspiracy theorist. Here it is.
David, I have a lot I wanted to ask you, but I have to start with these terrible YouTube, Twitter, good theories. If you search your name on Twitter right now...
All right, let's stop right now. Back it up again. I want to start with these terrible things. He doesn't show it to you, like they never do with me. They go, Jones says no one died. Jones says blah, blah, blah. They're defrauding you when they do this. There's these terrible things. We can't let you see it. But then he takes the high road because he knows they're playing good cop, bad cop. Oh, I let them attack me. I'm an angel. And over here, and he's sitting there next to Dan Rather, who got fired for creating fake memos. Fake news chief. Let's go back. Here it is.
YouTube, Twitter, good theories. If you search your name on Twitter right now, these lies about you being an actor are still at the top.
Stop again. You're being force-fed 99% of the time, not the other 3,000 students, but you even more than the other 3. You 4 are everywhere, and people dare to question you and your political statements. How dare them? They're bullies. Here, let's keep going.
About that.
It's great. It's great advertising, honestly. These people are doing an amazing thing in the sense that they're showing how disgusting they are. The fact that they're calling out me as a witness of this.
They want people to then counter him, and then everyone will be banned because he's the new Christ. You do not talk about him. In fact, he was never an actor. He's not an activist. He's not anti-gun. No, he doesn't want your guns. He's perfect. He's a perfect person. He's an adult. He's a senior. He wants our guns, but that's okay. Brian Stelter's on the phones with CNN and YouTube to ban you if you don't agree with him and turn your guns in. Let's go back to it.
Horrifying incident, saying that I'm an actor, a crisis actor. It shows how sad I feel for those people, honestly, because they've lost faith in America, and we certainly haven't. But that's okay. That's okay.
Let's pause again. The leftists. I'm not saying Mr. Hogg. But the globalists hate America, fly over country. They want globalism. They want open borders. Again, though, we've lost faith in America. But there's no clips of what we said, is there? There's just you up there, all 3 of you, Dan Rather, Brian Stelter, and you in a man's world misrepresenting what we've said. Let's continue.
Going to outlive them.
Absolutely.
Do you think Google and Facebook and Twitter should do more, though, to try to tamp down this pollution?
I mean, honestly, these people that have been attacking me on the these people that have been attacking me on the social media, they've been great advertisers. Ever since they started attacking me, my Twitter following is now over 250,000 people. People have continued to cover us in the media. They've done a great job of that, and for that, I honestly thank them.
So, again, we just say, why is it only 4 students being force-fed everywhere? Newspapers all over the country, KTLA, Fox News, CNN. Alex Jones to be banned off the internet for bullying children who are shooting survivors. You ever wondered how they'd ban free speech, how they'd kill the internet? CEO of News Corp said 2 weeks ago in the Wall Street Journal, we're going to call everything bullying. The heads of the telecoms, the heads of the major tech companies, Silicon Valley, we all met last week, now 3 weeks ago. He said, we all met. We've decided to call it all bullying. We're going to start by banning Alex Jones. Then there's a school shooting. Students say there's multiple shooters. They say there's a sheriff's department stand down that some of the deputies didn't go in. We didn't say that was the case. We were having the kids on and showing local newscast. They ban those newscasts, ban our channels. CNN says we're lobbying to have them shut down. They're filing the complaints. They say we said that no kids died. They were crisis actors in the videos they banned. We have the videos re-uploaded to Infowars.com. Got 7 million views just yesterday. We can put up the article the Drudge Report linked to. Top story over Saturday and Sunday on the internet, thanks to Drudge. Talk about being able to bypass their lies. And it's all about people saying multiple shooters, sheriff's department stand down. But the big news was he was under state care on psychotropic drugs. Roger Stone's going to be talking about that with Doug Hagman here in just a moment. But this is an epic time to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. And then you've got Dan Rather, who lost his job for creating fake documents. And you've got David Hogg, who is an admitted anti-gun activist. And on the acting club, doesn't mean he's fake or there wasn't a shooting. We're not saying he's a crisis actor. With Brian Stelter, who with Glenn Beck on the same show said we need to ban InfoWars, we need to block it. And Beck basically agrees. And then it just gets worse from there. Dan Rather, Zach, one of the producers, pointed out, and I remember this, he went to work for the Young Turks, who are mainly funded by Qatar, a Gulf dictatorship. And the Young Turks is the same name of the group that exterminated over 1.5 million Armenian Christians. And by the way, the show denies it and says the Turks did a good job. It's another Islamic group. Now, we're going to talk about all of this today. And our guests are about to co-host and take over in just a few minutes. But this is an epic time to be alive. I want to play a clip of Mr. Israel, the sheriff, who may just be a politician trying to be nice to everybody. But when he says he's doing a fantastic job, and when he says he's basically invincible, and when he says he's not going to resign, even when the former head of the NYPD says he should, there was a major stand down here. And I understand law enforcement previously couldn't get the guy because the state wouldn't get him and had him on drugs. But I'm just saying, you don't blame gun owners when there was armed police there whose job it was, 34-year veteran, to do this. And you got hogs saying, oh, I don't blame him not wanting to be down the barrel of a gun. You want to be down the barrel of a gun when you're the school resource officer that runs the shooting drills. And then more police show up and there's a stand down. While they're waiting to see what goes on. The point is that the feds and others knew it was coming and did nothing, and we broke all that. And the media calls that a conspiracy theory. But here's from a few years ago. Here's Sheriff Israel of Coward County, Broward County. It's being called Coward County now. And I know Roger has a better view on that. We're not a cult. You'll get to hear from him. But here is the Sheriff of Coward County in his little Islamicist event. Here it is.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, brothers and sisters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with another Ramadan. MashaAllah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has locked the shaitan. And alhamdulillah, the sheriff continues to lock the bad people.
Pause. Boycott Israel event, a Muslim retreat to jail young people. Let's just continue. This is the sheriff's department here. Just keep on.
Alhamdulillah. Brothers and sisters, I wanted to stand here before you today. Is Lisa here? She needs come up. It's important that we hear from our community, inshallah. I won't take much time and I'll introduce the sheriff, but I want to testify before you, brothers and sisters, because it's important for you to hear from us, inshallah. Alhamdulillah.
And again, that's one of the deputies and the sheriff's reportedly there. Yeah, there's the sheriff right there, and he goes and speaks as well. So let's just stop right there. All I know is a bunch of the witnesses said there were men running around in camo with big beards shooting people. Now, I'm not saying that happened. Vegas, that is what happened. And what we told you later came out. All I'm telling you is this needs to be investigated, and we're asking questions and showing what students say, and we're being banned, and the media, the controlled media, is misrepresenting what we said. So I don't know what's going on. I believe people got shot. I trust Roger on his politics. You know, a lot of times he says the sheriff's not a bad guy. All I know is there's been a stand down, and when I put videos up, YouTube's banning it, and then Glenn Beck and Dan Rather and Hogg and all of them are on TV talking about me. And in the old days, they'd have you on to respond to what they're saying, but they don't even show what we said or what we did. So we'll get the expert breakdown of this. But remember, the Wall Street Journal said this is the rollout to censor everybody. This is the intimidation. This is the attack. That's why your support is more critical than ever. But I want to just briefly, before we play this clip and go to break and come back, and these guys will co-host the last 3 segments, I want to remind you that we're listener supported. When you spread the articles, you spread the videos. When you hand do that, it's the only way. When you support our local AM and FM stations and TV stations, it's how we get out there. But this is the show they don't want you to hear. This is the broadcast they don't want you to hear. This is the transmission they don't want you to hear. So we have these sales about to end because I haven't had new ones yet. Icarin is 50% off, about to end, liver and kidney cleanser. Cell Force, 53% off, incredible deal. Real Red Pill, 50% off. Palmoblock, 50% off. The high-quality fluoride-free toothpaste with iodinic oil silver, 50% off. It's all there, InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. But let's go out to break, why these losers are so upset, why they're panicking, why they're going crazy. Let's remember election night when they said 99% chance Hillary was going to win, the Young Turks, all of them, CNN, MSNBC, they lied to you. They tried to steal all these states, and they failed because you were awake. And we're going to continue this victory. But just remember, InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. Buy the products. They're great products, water filtration, air filtration. Whatever the best is, we go out and we get it, we bring it to you. But a lot of these specials are about to end, InfoWarsStore.com.
I'll tell you something. The last just watching that video of the sheriff from Florida, I don't know. I'll tell you something. I have not seen that video before, and most assuredly, I've not seen that video in the manner in which it was presented here on this platform. So it was a very interesting to me. The Florida, of course, referencing the sheriff of Broward County, Florida, and the Florida shooting that had taken place, and of course the whatever you want to call it, just the cover up and the assault. You know, it's interesting. I find this very interesting. The last Friday when I was on with Alex, we had talked about censorship, and Alex talked about censorship as well. And by the way, Roger Stone, if he does come on, it'll be soon. He's having some issues with Skype, so no worries there. But again, until he does come back, I'll be taking over for him. But the issue of censorship, you know, I had said something last Friday when I was on with Milo and Alex, and I think it bears repeating. And this is a quote from a friend of mine, Coach Dave Dobbenmeyer, who happened to be actually featured on kind of a spoof piece on Howard Stern. But he had said to me one time, the truth becomes hate speech to those who hate the truth. And I thought that was a very profound statement. And if you think about that, the only way that the progressive lobotomized liberals, in this case, the people who want to take over to create and maintain this meme, they cannot argue the facts. The facts are brought up. The facts are questioned. They cannot answer those questions. What do? They pull the plug or attempt to pull the plug. That's how they operate. If they can't have, it's like a sociopath arsonist. If I can't have it, you can't have it. We're going to burn it all down. That's the approach, at least in my view, of what's taking place. And I just want to make sure everyone understands. You know, Alex fights the fight every single day. We fight the fight every single day of censorship, where we have people going to our sponsors, going to our guests and potential guests, and sullying the platform because they cannot fight. They cannot fight facts, so they've got to pull the plug. Just a couple of things on that. But I do got some news in addition to that, and I think that this is really important and critical, in my view, at least exclusive to InfoWars at this point. This is brand new. This I have not heard anyone else talking about this either in the corporate media or in the alternative media. So this has to do with what was released yesterday, and it's all about the Democratic response with respect to the Nunes memo. And of course, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence issued a memo that was approved earlier this month in February of 2018. And that was on the Republican side, shall we say, that the partisan side, the Republican partisan side of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. And that was a 3.5-page memo that was released, authorized by President Donald Trump. Well, in response to that, yesterday, a 10-page memo had come out. Roughly, I think it was 10 pages, 12 pages. I'm trying. Okay, I just heard something in my ear. Is Howard Stone or Roger Stone there?
I am indeed. I'm delighted. There we go. So our Skype problems have been addressed.
Roger, I yield to you.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Thank you very much. Skype can be difficult when it wants to. Look, this is extraordinary. The Washington Post, in an incredible piece by Jennifer Rubin, says that the House minority memo, the so-called Democratic memo, claims that the Russians sent documents to Trump associates, they speculate, Roger Stone, for review. This is completely and categorically false. I testified under oath for 4 hours. I addressed all these questions. There is no evidence that I ever received anything from any Russians because I didn't. This is a complete conjecture. Jennifer Rubin and the Washington Post in this case are fake news. This is meant to forward, I think, a collapsed agenda of Russian collusion. This, I think, as we now understand, is manufactured by the Democrats. turbocharged with our tax dollars by the FBI and the DOJ under Obama in an attempt to essentially hijack a presidential election and then try to undo the presidency of Donald Trump. The text messages of the FBI and the show us that. There's numerous documents produced by Judicial Watch that prove this, for which I commend them. So I think that they are trying to inflate a balloon that has already collapsed. Russian collusion delusion, Doug.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. And it's interesting how you were brought into that, which blew my mind. I just could not understand how they made that leap in the face of what you had already attested to and testified to.
It's no different than saying that Alex Jones said no children were killed at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, which he never said, and which nobody here ever said. As to whether the television witnesses were coached, Tucker Carlson of Fox reported that they were. Fox is owned by the News Corporation, the same News Corporation that says close down InfoWars because they claim that children were prompt as to what to say on television in the aftermath of the killing in Parkland. Where's the consistency here? This is so slow motion strangulation. We see it in Facebook, in Twitter. It is the night of the long knives. People's feeds are arbitrarily being closed on Facebook if they're pro-liberty and they have strong followings, if they follow Alex Jones and InfoWars. This is an attempt of Stalin-like, Hitler-like censorship. They lost the last election. They don't want a free, vibrant, robust alternative media in the 2018 election. They think the only way they can get the White House back in 2020 is by going back to the old days when mainstream media dominated the political dialogue. They can't win a debate of ideas. They can't take on Doug Hagman in an argument of ideas. They will lose. So they just want to silence us, but we will not go silent into that good night. This is going to get fought out in the courts, in the Congress, in the streets in terms of not civil disobedience so much as public demonstration. This is the war for the future. It's about the First Amendment. It's about free communications as guaranteed by the Constitution.
It was so funny because I had wanted to speak with Roger Stone about the various issues, about the references with respect to Russia, and of course how this all ties into the censorship. But having said that, I will get another chance, hopefully at some point in the future, and I wish the best for Roger, and I hope all is well with him. But the issue. What are they censoring? Aside from the truth, we know that, but specifically, what is it? The truth about the shootings? Is it the truth about the corruption in the DOJ and the FBI? Well, who else is reporting on the latter, or the former, for that matter? Only sources like InfoWars and individuals in the mostly conservative new media, the honest media. So having said that, what I wanted to address, and right before Roger came on, I was referencing this. I don't think there is any other agency that's talking about some revelations here that we saw this weekend that they're not being referenced at all. The revelations in the 12 or 13 page, let me be exact here. I believe it's 13 pages with annotations and footnotes, or 10 pages. Well, regardless, I'm sorry, it is 10 pages with the annotations and the multiple redactions with the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, their response to their Democratic response, the partisan response to the Nunes memo, as I was getting at earlier before. The most interesting and perhaps the most damning aspect of this that I'm not hearing anyone really talk about is on page 5 of this. Now, I'm not going to get too detailed on this, but you can download this, of course, on the internet, where the Democrats were the response in the House Political or House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. They admit ties to the Hillary Clinton DNC position of the Steele dossier. They admit the ties that were not disclosed, at least not to the extent they should have been. And when you consider that the FISA court is an ex parte proceeding, in other words, a one-sided proceeding, that's extremely important. But the admission where the FISA court was not informed of the financial ties of Christopher Steele to the actual dossier, to the underlying documents of the FISA warrant application. That admission, I think, is extremely critical for people to understand and for people to really look at and say, wait a minute, this is what we've been talking about. But there are a couple of other things, of course, beyond the when you follow the money in investigations like I've done for the last 30 years, you look at this and you say, okay, who is paying for everything and where's the money trail? It is beyond any shadow of a doubt now. When you balance the two memos, you've got the money flowing ultimately to Christopher Steele, who's compiling and disseminating information. And the following the money train is like this. You've got Hillary Clinton at the base paying Perkins Coie, the law firm. And I know you've heard this before, but just follow me on this. Paying Perkins Coie, who's paying Fusion GPS, who's paying Christopher Steele, who's also approved for reimbursement by the FBI/DOJ to create a dossier, to compile it. In part, he's just one of a number of people, and that's another key issue, to create the underlayment for this illegal spying operation by the opposing political party. Now, here is a name that has surfaced of late. Only a couple of websites have mentioned this, that you're going to be hearing more about. And this is first, I believe, on InfoWars, and first with respect to this issue. Lisa Monaco. Lisa Monaco happened to be the chief of staff of Robert Mueller, then FBI Director Robert Mueller. She moved to an assistant deputy in the DHS National Security Division of the White House. The reason I bring her name up is when you look at the Steele dossier, as I've said before, it's not the Steele dossier, it's the Clinton Steele dossier. Through the work of Obama, through the Executive Order 12333, I believe it is, and the opening up of the unmaskings, what he did and what Lisa Monaco and Susan Rice have appeared to do is spread the information that was a product of political opposition research from the presidential daily briefing to numerous other people, including but not limited to members of the media. So here's why this is, at the end, here's why this is important. You have got the White House, an operation out of the Obama White House using a weaponized Department of Justice and FBI to create the political opposition product to go against President Donald Trump. But in the periphery of this, and this is something that I found, and I believe is so critical for the listeners of this program to understand, folks, the surveillance was not just limited to the political opposition. The surveillance was limited, or was also involved people such as Roger Stone, people such as, or entities such as Infowars, people such as Sean Hannity, people and entities such as Fox News. When you look at it this way, and now take that and draw back to where we are, what we're seeing today, the war against the alternative media, especially including and especially Infowars, and even myself at the Hagman Report, we are watching this blowback, this attempt to shut us down, to shut us up. And if you can't do it by fighting the facts, for example, getting these facts out, you've got to do it by portraying Infowars, by portraying Alex, by portraying all of the truth tellers as bullies, as bigots, or insert the pejorative name here and under the violations of terms of service. So to tie this all together, this is what we're seeing today. This didn't happen overnight. This was not an arbitrary or capricious decision by Twitter, by Facebook, by YouTube or Google or whatever. This exists. This is at the rot is at the very top of the deep state. And in the deep state, of course, lacking any plausible deniability, you're looking at Barack Hussein Obama, Clinton, and those in her orbit, in their council and orbit, I should say. Before we go to break, I want to mention, myself, I'll tell you something, I've never felt better than when I'm taking the nutritional supplements from InfoWars. I've got nothing to gain by saying this. I love the products that they offer. I love their toothpaste. There is a limited time sales. The number of limited time sales are ending soon. Super Blue, 50% off. Cellforce, 53% off. 50% off of Acuren and more. Folks, go to InfoWarsStore.com. Get your products today, because right now it's never been so more important than supporting InfoWars and supporting alternative media than it is right now. But right before the break, we were talking, of course, about the bigger picture. And I'm a big picture kind of guy when I'm looking at all of this. Of course, Alex and Roger Stone, they were talking about censorship, and of course the Florida shooting and the just the incredible blowback by InfoWars, by Alex, bringing the truth to the American public, and obviously the powers that exist in Washington inside the swamp. They don't like the truth. So what are they going to do? Can they refute the facts? Can they tolerate asking questions? Of course not. They've got to pull the plug. And this is why I've said before, I said Friday with Alex and Milo, is the fact that we, in the alternative media, we've all got to stick together. We've got to, look, we can win on the numbers, but we've got to show up. We've got to play. We've got to fire back, and we cannot tolerate that. The problem in America, in my view, is that we tolerate too much. People accuse others of being intolerant, especially on the left, the left accusing the Christian conservatives and conservatives of being too intolerant. I don't think that's the case at all. We're too tolerant, and we allow too much. When's the last time you saw a rally in the streets by conservatives? You haven't. But at some point, we must rally. We must get behind one another. And that's why it's so important, I believe, for each one of us to get behind InfoWars, to get behind to get behind Alex Jones, to be Alex Jones, where we can be. That's my view, because if we don't do that, if we don't stand together, we will fall separately, and we can't have that. Roger Stone, it's my understanding, will be on tomorrow, as his time was cut short today by a bad Skype connection. I understand he's traveling. So having said that, having looked at the last, or the before the break, talking about the war of memos, shall we say, and what that really reflects, and how that relates to everything else, and I think it does in the larger sense. And here's what I mean by that. When we look at this race to unveil, to expose the corruption that wrought within the deep state, the permanent state, we are looking at the blowback from this attempt to expose what's really going on. And the takeaways, of course, as we can see, the takeaways from the Democratic memo are several. There are a number of takeaways. Sarah Carter weighing in, Devin Nunes, of course, weighing in, and others weighing in with respect to the takeaways. The bottom line with this memo, and I think Devin Nunes earlier today on some of the Sunday talk shows had said it best. The most telling part of this Democratic memo, the response to the Nunes memo, exists on page 5 of this minority response memo, and that is simply this: they admit ties to Hillary Clinton, to the DNC. The financial aspect was not disclosed to the FISA court, and remember, the FISA court is an ex parte proceeding. It's a one-sided proceeding. In other words, there's no second There's no defense, shall we say. They lied to the FISA court. They lied to the FISA court. And think back to 1975, the Church Committee, the revelations from the Church Committee. That spawned the FISA court. It was because of the revelations from the Church Committee that we have the FISA court today, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. And it was because of the centralization of power. It was because of the FISA court and the 17 different intelligence agencies and the compartmentalization therein. That we found, we saw the creation of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So all of this to say that the deep state, the foreign, or the deep state, the actors that they're in, have really abused the process. And when I say abuse the process, I'm talking about conducting surveillance, as I said before the break, of not just those believed to be foreign agents or foreign actors, but even those people who, well, quite simply, the political opponents and those in the alternative independent media who are telling the truth and attempting to get the truth out there through exposing the various memos and the various misdeeds of the FBI and the DOJ, as well as the State Department, which is phase 2, and of course the Obama White House. At this point, and this is important, I think, for everyone to understand, at this point, we are going to see in the next couple of months, we are going to see the Office of the Inspector General, and there are 73 inspectors general, but Michael Horowitz as the IG for the FBI and DOJ. We're going to see a report come out, possibly mid-March. I expect it to be then, if not early April. When that report comes out, you're going to see that working in tandem, taking a parallel path to the exposures to date. And by the way, that will address in large part, the OIG report will address the Hillary Clinton email abuse scandal crime and everything surrounding that, and the overlap between that into the FBI DOJ abuse, all combining within this deep state cauldron of deep state swamp denizens, all combining to create this secret society, self-named, and this movement against not just Donald Trump, but to overturn the will of the American people. So, if anything, if this was my last time ever on air, my dying breath, I would really like people to see how over the last 8 years, very, very specifically, but in a larger sense, over the last generation, the last 50 years, how the deep state has been created. And what we're now seeing today is the results of that creation, where alternative media, where even members of our Congress, members of our Supreme Court, members of those wanting a constitutional republic to succeed, and that's just not limited to Donald Trump, as I said. We are seeing this blowback, an attempt to silence all of us. Because if this stuff gets out, the Florida shooting information gets out, and InfoWars has done a phenomenal job, in my view, of explaining the issues with respect to the Florida shooting. When I say issues, things don't add up there. Look, I've been an investigator for 30 years plus, and I could tell you this: nothing really makes sense with respect to the Florida shooting, and don't even get me started on Las Vegas. But all of that said, the truth has to be stopped by the deep state. The deep state is attempting to stop the truth, and this, of course, here we are. Here we are today, and we attempting the more effective we are, the more blowback we receive collectively and individually. So the bottom line is this: as we approach the end of the program, the bottom line is this: we have been. And when I say we, I'd like to be included in that, of course, Alex Jones and his fine crew. We have been over the target, and we've been taking flack incoming. We need to keep pressing on, pressing forward, spreading the information on social networking. You know, they may be able to shut down 1 account, 10 accounts, 100, 1,000 accounts, but not everybody And that information we can win on the numbers. I like to say that very often. We can win on the numbers. So, having said that, we've got to get together. We've got to support one another. And I don't want this to be a rally as opposed to the information, but it's so important when this is so important for all of us. And how do you support us? How do you support InfoWars? How do you support the truth? Folks, it's really simple. If I can just say this, and help yourself at the same time, go to InfoWars store, buy Cellforce, 53% off. Buy the various products. It doesn't matter. So you can help yourself and support InfoWars at the same time. Look, Cellforce, it's a fantastic product. The reason that this is so important, the reason that I bring this up now, and I'm not getting paid to do this. I don't have to say this. There's a benefit to me. I take it. I feel better. But there's also a benefit by keeping InfoWars on the air, keeping people having the ability to go out there and tell the truth in such adverse conditions. So having said all of that, the bottom line, we are in a war. We are in a civil war right now. We are in a war of information. Alex had it right from day one. This is an info war, but we can win.
Support good oral health with our one-of-a-kind Super Blue fluoride-free products. InfoWars Life brings you a revolutionary toothpaste blend with iodine and nano silver designed to deliver a powerful clean. Enjoy a minty fresh flavor made with peppermint oil or try our bubblegum flavor. Pair this groundbreaking toothpaste with the Super Blue fluoride-free mouthwash and supercharge your oral health. Our amazing mouthwash features natural oils and ancient ingredients used since Aboriginal and biblical times. Instead of containing fluoride, our Super Blue line is loaded with the good halogen iodine and an array of other beneficial compounds that have been hand-selected for their oral health benefits. Super Blue fluoride-free mouthwash and toothpaste are the first and only to contain all of these natural ingredients: xylitol, nano silver, and iodine. Notice the difference with our Super Blue fluoride-free products. Refresh your breath and invigorate your oral health routine at InfoWarsStore.com. That's InfoWarsStore.com.